Welcome back, Raider Nation, to the Raider D podcast, coming at you live today on this Thursday evening. Hope everybody has had a great weekend. Man, it has been too long since we have been live on the podcast. As some of you may have known, went through a bit of a health scare over the past 20 days and been seeing a bunch of doctors, and they don't seem to know what the heck is going on. So we're kind of still just going through that whole process. Got a bunch of more doctors to see, a bunch more tests. I've already been poked in the arms probably 100 times with a bunch of different blood draws and MRI scans, CT scans, EEGs, EKGs, on and on and on. The entire alphabet has been done on my body over the past 20 or so days. Still not better, but they do have me on some medication that has kind of helped to improve the health situation, at least make it more mild, but I'm still having issues. With that being said, my productivity is way down. This is why you guys have not seen me as much, why I have not done a single live podcast, which I was doing every day this entire month of June. And I think I've only produced about 4 videos as my health has allowed me to do it. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I got a little bit of energy. So that's why I'm coming on you live, because even though I haven't been able to produce the amount of content that I normally do on this channel, I have been trying to keep up to date with everything. I've been watching a bunch of content, reading a bunch of articles, and keeping tabs on our beloved Raiders and how things are going out there in the Raider Nation. And I know that, I made a video that I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen about some of the negativity in regards to the Raiders offense during minicamp in OTAs. And I made a rebuttal video about that, and I gave the evidence as to why those who are being Debbie Downers on the Raiders offense right now, in particular against Aiden O'Connell and even Gardner Minshew, why this is unfounded and it should not play any major role in how we feel about the Raiders moving forward into the 2024 season. Because right now we don't even have pads on. These guys in the offense, Aiden O'Connell learning a new system, Gardner Minshew learning a new system, the wide receivers, and here's the other thing. With the offense learning all of this new system with Luke Getsy and that Green Bay offense, you also have to take into recognition that our offensive line and our players are going against arguably the best defensive line in all of the NFL. And so that's going to make things a little problematic. That's going to make some hiccups for the offense. But what I was really encouraged by is the fact that the Raiders offense started to pick it up in the second half of minicamp. Now, this was only a few days long. It wasn't a lot of time to really get things filed down. Now they have the summer break. They got 5 weeks left in the summer break. Time for them to spend time with their families. But Coach Antonio Pierce made it very clear. We're not starting over when we get to mandatory camp in 5 weeks from now. You need to be ahead of the curve. You need to know the playbook, and you need to come to camp in shape, because whoever does that, those are going to be the guys who are going to get the opportunities to be a starter on this team. And he doesn't care what your name is, how much money you make, or where you were drafted in the draft. I love this about Coach Antonio Pierce. He is truly a player's coach. He does not play favoritism to anybody. He has high expectations for the entire team, from the rookies to the veterans and in between. So with that, I'm super excited, and I just wanted to say I think the offense is going to be fine. Don't expect that the Raiders offense is going to come out of the gate and just blow us all away with scoring 35 points a game. It's a new offense. It's going to be Aiden O'Connell most likely as QB1 starting week 1. And if he can just continue his progression that he had over his last 5 games of last season, then we're going to be in a really good situation, because if our defense continues the way that they were playing in the last 6 or 7 games of the season, wow, it's going to be a completely different season in 2024 than what it was in 2023. We're going to be winning a lot more games. And more importantly, as Davante Adams said after, I think it was like week 4 or whatever, we finally won a game, and it was by like 3 points. It was an ugly win, and he was like, yeah, I'm happy to get the win, but that's not how we should be doing it. We need to be 100% dominating teams week in and week out if you want to be a championship caliber team. This is what the Chiefs do, and this is what other great teams do. They dominate. They put fear in you anytime that an opposing team has to play you, and this is exactly what the Raiders need to do. With that, I do just want to give a quick shout out to my guys that are in the house. Jack Kenna in the house, Robert in the house. I see you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support. If you're brand new to the channel, go ahead and drop your name down here in the comments. Let me know who you are and where are you watching from. Yeah, let's see where the Raiders are going to be come mid-season with that offense. I think it's very important that we give them time to gel, just like the defense needed time to gel and come together under Patrick Graham's defense, and they finally put all of the pieces together, especially with the addition of Jack Jones last year in mid-season. I think that the offense is going to need that same thing. I think we got to give them a little bit of leeway. We're not giving them too much leeway, but we got to give them a little bit of leeway and just see where the Raiders are going to be come week 4, 5, 6 of the regular season. If we're not seeing them gel, if we're seeing Aiden O'Connell really struggling with the playbook, making errant passes, taking way too many sacks, throwing too many interceptions, then you might see Gardner Minshew come in for the rest of the season. And then at that point, let's be 100% honest with each other. Gardner Minshew is not the long-term answer. Gardner Minshew is a great backup quarterback. He is not an elite quarterback. He will never be an elite quarterback. He doesn't have the physical skills to do so. So if that's the case and we end up only winning 5 or 6 games in 2024, well, we better be looking at a quarterback in the draft or trying to bring somebody in that can elevate that offense to another level. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about a trade for Dak Prescott. I don't like that talk. I am not on board with a Dak Prescott trade to the Raiders. He will cost way too much money, and he has not been able to prove himself as a winner. He can get to the playoffs, but that's it. Kirk Cousins can do that. And what we're looking for with the Raiders really is to get to that next level. And you can't say that Dak Prescott didn't have talent around him. His entire career, he has had some of the most talented players on offense and defense that money can buy. They spare no expense down there in Dallas. And he still hasn't been able to get it done. So I would be looking, long-term, Aiden O'Connell going into his 3rd year next year. He's a serviceable quarterback, and you bring in a rookie with the plans of sitting him for a year behind Aiden O'Connell with more of an eye towards 2026. Now, at that point in 2026, Davante Adams is not Davante Adams, the superstar that he is today. In 2 years from now, he will not have the legs underneath him, most likely, to be as effective as he is currently. So we'll need upgrades at the wide receiver position. Now there's, Brandon Ayuk, possible trade rumors out there of him going to another team, him not being happy with San Francisco, and San Francisco, frankly, not being happy with the way that he's handled this fifth-year option thing with him. And so I think that there's a possibility. I would be open to it. Here's my only issue with Brandon Ayuk. He's a fantastic wide receiver, but he's also proving to be a bit of a drama queen. Do the Raiders want a guy like that on the team? I would have to say maybe not, because it really comes down to, it's not how great of a player you are, but are you about the team or are you about self? And so that's another potential trade that's been rumored that the Raiders could get involved in during this offseason, possibly before preseason, making a trade for Brandon Ayuk. I've made a video about it in the past, and yeah, I think it would be beneficial. He is a huge upgrade. He would be instantly wide receiver number 2, opposite of our already superstar wide receiver that we have right now, and Devontae Adams. And then Jacoby Myers can really cook in that slot receiver position. Trey Tucker, we would, use a little bit, probably more sparingly, as Ayuk would get the vast majority of the snaps and the plays. This would, kind of put him back. However, with that being said, my concern again would be that Brandon Ayuk is showing himself to be a bit of a drama queen, and not as much about team. And we're building a culture in that Raiders building where it is all about team. It is all about getting to that Super Bowl and bringing home the Lombardi Trophy, because our heated rivals now have one more than the Raiders. They have 4. We have 3. We haven't been back in a very long time. We haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2022. 2002. It's time to get back. It's time to get back, and it's time to win, and it's time to bring home that trophy, because we cannot have Kansas City having more Super Bowl trophies than the Raiders. But you have to have a culture. You have to have a team of guys who love each other and play hard for each other, play hard for the coach. I think that we have that currently right now, and that's exciting. Also, what else is exciting is that we are almost at 6,000 subscribers in such a short time. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is mind-blowing. The love and the support and the friendships that we have built here on this channel has been amazing. Salute to my guy, Raider Ryan, who's going to be getting married soon. So congratulations to you. Big Matt in the house. Salute, brother. If you guys are brand new, drop your name down here in the comments. Show some love. Where are you guys watching from? And if you're not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Help us get to that big 6,000, that big 6K subs. And then we just keep on rolling from there. We have a goal, actually, to hit 10,000 subs before the regular season begins. So help us get to that. Again, hit that sub button if you haven't already, if you love daily Raiders content. Now, again, as I started this out earlier, I have not been doing daily content over the past 20 days because I had a big health scare on the 1st of June. And I have had several episodes, over a dozen episodes of that same thing happening again. Been back in the hospital a couple of times and seeing doctors and getting poked and blood draws and scans and all kind of stuff. We're fighting through it, but my energy levels are really, really low. I feel terrible. they're trying to figure it out. To be honest, my primary doctor seems to think that it could be related to a particular vaccine that we were all forced to take. And I could be having some serious negative consequences due to that. Hopefully that's not the case, because if it is, well, there's no cure, which means don't know how much longer we'll be around here on this channel. But I'm fighting through it. I just want to say again, thanks to everybody that's sent in their support and their love. Got more doctors to see, more tests to take, and try and narrow this down. They do have me on some medications, which has lessened the severity of the issue, so that I haven't had to take an ambulance ride now in about 2 weeks, fortunately. But yeah, my energy is very, very low. So I've been making as much content as possible. I was feeling pretty good today. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump on. I'm going to do a live. I haven't been able to do a live. But yeah, I'm feeling good enough. Let's go ahead and do a live. So here I am. Salute to my boy Western Conference in the house. If you guys don't know who Western Conference is, go check out his channel as well. He is growing. He is awesome dude and makes great Raiders content. G1MM13 TH3 Loot. Man, that is a long handle for a YouTube handle. It says, no offense, but you said you want the Raiders to get the next level, and the next level for the Raiders is the playoffs. Dak can do that for you, and Ayuk is the epitome of a team player. He was super unselfish player on the 49ers. Okay, let's address both of these. Yes, Dak can get you to the playoffs. But here's the problem with that. Dak wants $40 million plus a year, probably $50 million a year. And so he hasn't proven. I mean, if he was Tom Brady level, champion type of dude, and you're paying $50 million, okay, I could see that. Here's the problem with Dak Prescott. He's a good quarterback. He's in my mind, he's a Kirk Cousins. He's a good quarterback. He's not bad. And he's not a drama queen, at least for the most part, right? I think he'd fit in well. I think he would do great with the team. And you never know. It could be one of those situations where you bring in a Dak Prescott and we go and win a Super Bowl. Maybe sometimes you just got to get that change and of scenery, and you can take it to the next level. But that's a huge risk at potentially $50 million a year. What that does is you got to start making decisions at $50 million a year. You got to decide who you're not going to have on the team, because now you can't afford to have superstars on the team to make that complementary role. Now, if Dak Prescott, let's say Aiden O'Connell does not take that next step in his career this year, in year 2, as the starter, okay? And Dak and the Cowboys don't come to a solution to his contract issue, and we make a bid for him. If Dak says, you know what? I'm already rich. I'm already worth tens of millions of dollars. I don't know what his net worth is, probably somewhere around 80 million plus. If he comes in and says, you know what, for me, it's not about money. I want to be a Super Bowl champion. And he says, I'll take $30 million a year to come to the Raiders and get us to that next level. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would not be opposed to that at all. $30 million a year is very reasonable for the success that he's had. $50 million a year is not. He wants to be the highest paid QB in the NFL, and I'm sorry, Dak, but you just haven't put the proof behind it, right? Here's one of the things that, as much as I cannot stand Tom Brady, especially, I mean, he whooped us too many times. So how could I ever like him? I will give him this respect. He took team-friendly deals because he wanted to keep winning Super Bowls. For him, he already made so much money off of his endorsements and whatnot that he didn't need the money. And so Dak can do the same thing. If Dak does that, I would entertain it. I wouldn't be mad at it. Dak he's a winner. He'll get you to the playoffs if you got enough offensive weapons, and particularly if you got a really good offensive line, which we are still trying to put together. But just quick shout out to my boy Stan King. Stan the man, what is going on, brother? Good to see you. $5 super chat. I have known Stan for a long time. Great dude. Big time Raiders fan. We used to argue about Derek Carr back in the day. I don't even remember those. He was like, oh, I hate Derek Carr. It's time to let him go. And I'm like, come on, it's not Derek Carr's fault. Maybe just give him one more year. I still remember those days, Stan. It's good to hear from you, brother. Hope you are doing good out there in Raider world. So yeah, that's my thing. Now, as far as Brandon Ayuk, look, his teammates love him, and that's great. And I'm not saying that he would be a bad teammate. It's the public drama, the media drama. Now, I get that the media drama also plays a part in trying to get a bigger contract. And maybe he's beefing with the coach. Our coach, Antonio Pierce, knows Brandon very well. Brandon wants to play for the Raiders. He wants to play for AP, so maybe we wouldn't have any of those issues. Not opposed to it on its face. As I've said this in the past, it's just what would you have to pay the 49ers to get Brandon here? If you brought in Brandon Ayuk and you make him wide receiver number 2, you now have Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers as your receivers 1, 2, 3, your 2 wideouts, and your slot. And really, as long as you have the quarterback, if it's AOC or somebody else that can get them the ball efficiently, you don't have to be a superstar. You've got superstar receivers. So all you have to do is just be efficient and just not turn the ball over left, right, and center, which Aiden O'Connell really was able to correct that situation, throwing 9 touchdowns to only 1 interception in his last 5 games. And then the offensive line was able to start stepping up and protecting him a little bit better, and he was able to get a little bit better in his pocket awareness and maneuvering in the pocket as well. So all he has to do is just be efficient with the ball and rely on that run game and get the ball to your playmakers like an Ayuk and a Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, and then Trey Tucker streaming down the middle at 1,000,000 miles an hour for those long touchdown passes. And yeah, you can definitely put up 24, 30 points a game on average with a team like that. And that's what I would like if I had to choose right now, if I had to choose between Dak Prescott and Brandon Ayuk, I'm taking Brandon Ayuk. And a lot of people will think I'm crazy because they'll be like, man, we got good wide receivers. We just need a good quarterback. Well, I believe that Aiden O'Connell is a good quarterback. I believe Aiden O'Connell can be just as good and accurate as a Dak Prescott at a fraction of the price. So if you combine if you add a guy like Brandon Ayuk and combine him with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker, you have a beast mode wide receiver room at a bargain price because you're not paying the quarterback $50, $60 million a year. And then Aiden O'Connell, again, just has to be efficient with the ball, which he proved in his last 5 games he can do. Now, you combine that with one of the most dominant defensive lines in the NFL. I'm saying top 3. My guess is we're going to be number 1 defensive line throughout the year as long as everybody stays healthy. And then you have Jack Jones, who is a ball hawk. Trayvon Merrick is taking a step in his career and getting much better. Epps is always a wily vet out there. And then we've got some great additions as well. Palomau You know, he's going to take another step. Divine Diablo hopefully can stay healthy because he's proven that he can be good. Spillane is a fantastic middle linebacker. Eichenberg was a great pickup in the draft. So you combine all of these things with the defense. Jacorian Bennett takes his next step in his career with the speed that he has, and it's like lights out. Look, I mean, we were number one in points allowed, defense at only allowing 16 points a game at the end of the year. If we can maintain that, we win the AFC West with Aiden O'Connell. And so, again, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing Brandon Ayuk as long as, and Coach Antonio Pierce is going to know this better than anybody because he's the one who understood Jack Jones and the value that Jack Jones has because he's known Jack since he was 13. He knows Brandon Ayuk very well. He's coached him. He has a rapport with him. If Coach says, everybody gave up on Jack Jones last year. There are literally people saying he's not even going to be in the NFL anymore. Coach went up to the head office, to Mark Davis, and said, I need this kid on the team. He was initially told no. Mark did not want him because he was afraid of drama. You know, he had a gun charge, whatever, at the airport. It was later taken care of. But Coach knew better because, again, Coach knew the talent that Jack Jones has and how to coach him and convinced Mark that we needed to bring him in. And we did, and that turned out fantastic for the Raiders. So I trust that Antonio Pierce is one of those coaches who is a leader of men and understands players. So if he says, I can coach Brandon Ayuk, and I can take that superstar caliber talent that he already has, and I can make sure that it benefits the Raiders to where we get to that next level and just add that awesome weapon that we have. And he's a lot younger than Devontae Adams. So next year or the year after, if we